Have you ever, found yourself totally lost in a story or maybe a game or just some corner of culture you really click with?
Oh, definitely. Where it's not just watching or playing. Yeah.
Exactly. It feels like you're part of this bigger shared world, a community that goes way beyond just the screen.
It's this really powerful thing, happens to everyone, I think. And it's more than just liking something a lot or some temporary obsession.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking about fandom today. It's this incredibly dynamic space, always changing, and it's all fueled by real passion, real connection.
Yeah, it's not just about consuming the stuff. It's about being active, creating things, feeling like you belong somewhere.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've looked at a couple of really interesting sources to try and unpack what that's all about.
First up, we're going to explore Fandom. It's this huge digital hub, gives you a real sense of the scale and what's currently buzzing in those communities.
And then we'll kind of shift gears and look at the Fandom Files. It's a podcast that really gets into the human stories.
Yeah, they talk to the super devoted fans and the people who actually make the stuff they love.
So our mission really is to give you a bit of a shortcut to understanding what makes fandom tick. From the massive websites behind it all to the actual people driving it. It's a pretty powerful cultural force.
Definitely is.
Okay, so let's start with that digital side. Our first source gives us a look inside this massive online platform. It's just called Fandom. What exactly is that? What's its main thing?
Well, think of it like a huge digital home base. It's set up to help you manage all your favorite fandoms, as they put it.
Manage them.
Mostly through these wikis, and the scale is just huge. It hosts over, get this, 250,000 different wikis.
Wow, 250,000. That's staggering.
It is. So it's like this enormous, sprawling encyclopedia, but it's all built by the community for pretty much any pop culture topic you can think of.
Okay, so what kind of wikis are we talking? Like, what are the big ones? Give us a taste of the variety.
Oh, it's incredibly varied for games. You've got massive communities around things like Minecraft, Genshin Impact, The Last of Us.
Okay.
But also deep dives into classics, Zelda, Pokemon, Terraria, Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat, Spider-Man games. The list goes on.
Right.
Then for movies, think Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, naturally. But also The Matrix, DC Extended Universe, G.I. Joe, Disney, even the Monsterverse.
In TV.
Oh, yeah. Everything from Memory Alpha, which is all Star Trek stuff, to the Arrowverse, SpongeBobia, yeah. The Witcher, The Boys, Avatar, Titans, even Sex Education has its own wiki. It just shows how diverse things get online.
So it's way more than just a list of shows, right? It's this living knowledge base built by the fans. What does that tell you about what these platforms do for fans?
Well, what's really interesting, I think, isn't just the sheer amount of information. It's the collective ownership. Yeah. Fans aren't just reading this stuff. They're actively curating it. They're documenting every tiny detail. It's like they're decentralizing the official story, the canon.
Democratizing it almost.
Exactly. It's like this unique kind of digital craftsmanship. Millions of people working together to build the ultimate guides to the stories and characters they love. It really shows you how invested they are, down to the smallest thing.
Okay, so they've got these incredible archives, but you mentioned the platform. Fandom is also like a news hub. What's buzzing right now? What are people talking about according to their top news stories?
Yeah, it's like taking the pulse in real time.
Oh.
So looking recently for TV, there's chatter about Netflix's Sakamoto Days coming back. And surprisingly, there's talk of an actual legitimate chance, their words,
right,
that Mindhunter might return.
Well, people would love that.
Right. Also news on what Book Reacher Season 4 will adapt, and premiere info for the NCIS Tony and Ziva spinoff.
So lots of sequel and continuation buzz.
Yeah.
What about games?
Games are busy, too. There's a piece on what book you should read based on your favorite game, which is kind of fun if you're trying to reduce screen time.
Interesting angle.
Yeah. And a report saying Mario Kart World's vibes-based free roam is perfect. Some technical stuff, too, like why HDR might look worse on the rumored Switch 2.
The tech details matter.
They really do to some fans. There's also buzz about a potential new Donkey Kong game, codenamed Bonanza, maybe, for Switch 2, with a surprise Mario character, transformations.
Yeah.
Even hinting at a DK multiverse.
A Donkey Kong multiverse. Okay.
I know, right? And Game Pass adding another 11 games soon. That always gets attention.
And movies. Anything breaking there?
Yep. An adult-targeted Death Stranding anime movie was just announced.
Whoa.
And maybe disappointingly for some, the live-action Zelda movie got delayed by Nintendo.
Right. So looking at all this news flow,
Mm-hmm.
what does it tell us? It's clearly not just about nostalgia or looking back.
Not at all. It's about being plugged in constantly. What's fascinating is how fast the news hits these platforms and how immediately fans react.
So it creates this feedback loop, doesn't it?
Precisely. This rapid cycle of news, reaction, debate. It shows that fandom is active. They're following new releases, technical specs, casting news, everything. It's very much about the now and the future.
And does that constant stream of updates and the instant fan reaction we see, does that maybe suggest a shift, like creators are maybe listening more or being influenced more directly by the audience now?
I think that's definitely part of it. That collective voice,
Yeah.
amplified by these platforms, can absolutely sway decisions. We've seen it happen.
Right.
So yeah, it's this living ecosystem. News isn't just consumed, it's processed, debated, sometimes even weaponized a bit to pressure creators. It really shows fandom isn't just following along, they're trying to shape things too.
It's amazing how organized these digital worlds are and how fast info travels. But like you said, behind the wikis and the news feeds, it's about people.
Exactly.
And that brings us to our second source, the Fandom Files podcast. You said it really gets into the human side of it all.
It really does. The Fandom Files, yeah, it's all about, and I'm quoting here, people who really, really love stuff and the people who make that stuff.
Nice.
Their whole approach is interviewing both sides, the super passionate fans and the creators. You know, filmmakers, fanfic writers, actors, cosplayers, the whole spectrum.
So it's like eavesdropping on Comic-Con conversations.
Kind of, yeah. They bill it as a weekly Comic-Con party for your ears, and it really does capture that vibe, that energy.
Okay, so let's get specific. Can you pull out some examples from the Fandom Files that really show that passion, that engagement in action?
Sure. One really clear one is how they covered the whole Sonic the Hedgehog movie thing.
Ah, yes, the teeth.
The teeth and the eyes, the whole initial design. The podcast dug into the Sonic and Sega fandom's really strong feelings about that creepy original character design versus the new, much more satisfying one that came later.
Which came about because of fan reaction, largely.
Exactly. And they explored how that community keeps going, you know, through things like old Dreamcast games and streaming. They even got into debates about Sonic's feet.
Sonic's feet. Okay, see, that's the level of detail we're talking about. That's real fandom dedication right there.
It really is. It shows how deep the investment goes into every little aspect.
Totally.
Okay.
What else did they cover? Any creator perspectives?
Yeah, they had Rob McElhenney, Megan Gans, and the legendary F. Murray Abraham on to talk about their show Mythic Quest.
Oh, the gaming company comedy.
That's one. It's
Later.
about this hilariously dysfunctional gaming company running a huge MMORPG, and their conversation, it went everywhere. Gaming, sci-fi, but also touching on heavier online stuff like internet Nazis and sex dolls. So real-world issues bleeding into fandom spaces.
Right, reflecting the complexity.
Definitely. And then you get these really personal connection stories. Like they had Warwick Davis talking about making Willow. Yeah. He described it as adventure good, babies and horses meh, which is pretty funny. And he talked about returning to Star Wars with his own son in The Rise of Skywalker, and also the possibility back then of a Willow sequel series, which eventually happened.
So connecting past and present through these roles.
Exactly. And speaking of fan power, they covered the Snyder Cut movement extensively.
Ah, another big example.
Huge. You had Justice League stars themselves, Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck tweeting support for Zack Snyder's original version. It showed how fans just kept pushing, kept campaigning.
And that connects right back to the Sonic redesign thing, doesn't it?
It really does. Both are clear examples of fans having a real, tangible impact on these massive franchises, sometimes years down the line.
These stories, taken together.
Yeah.
The Sonic outcry, the Snyder Cut campaign.
Yeah.
What does it all tell us about that relationship between fans and creators? Or just the sheer level of commitment fans have?
Well, if you zoom out, connect it to the bigger picture, it makes it undeniable, really. Fandom isn't passive. It's not just sitting back and watching.
It's active, vocal.
Very vocal. And often, yeah, genuinely influential. Fans are deeply invested. They get into critical discussions, debates, and sometimes that collective voice actually changes the direction of the movies or shows or games they love.
So it's almost a symbiotic relationship now.
You could say that. It highlights that the connection goes both ways. And maybe that creators, well, they ignore strong fan sentiment at their own risk these days.
Yeah. So putting it all together from this deep dive.
Yeah.
we've seen these two sides of fandom. On one hand, you've got this incredible digital infrastructure, right? Like the fandom platform with its 250,000 wikis, the constant news.
Yeah, the machinery that supports it all.
And then on the other side, you have these deeply personal, really passionate stories, the actual people, fans, and creators that the Fandom Files brings out so well.
And understanding both sides, I think, helps you understand a really significant part of modern culture. It's vibrant, it's powerful.
It's a testament, really, to how much shared stories and characters in these communities that build up around them, how much they matter to people.
Absolutely. The power of connection around shared passions.
So as you're going about your day, maybe think about this. What's a specific fan community you're part of? Maybe it's not for a huge blockbuster movie or a massive game. Maybe it's something smaller, more niche.
Yeah, something unexpected, perhaps.
Right. How does being part of that enrich your life? And what are those unique little details, those specific conversations or debates, like Sonic's feet, that keep that particular fandom alive and thriving?